Hello, I wanted to do some Varoma cooking with you today from a collection in Cookie called Fabulous Flavors on Every Level. So I've got pea and ginger soup with lemon, salmon, and broccoli. So it will all be cooking in layers. So we'll just get started. If I press start, first we're making the marinade for the salmon. So the first thing it's asking for is some olive oil, and the scales have come up, and I'm just going to start pouring in. I want about 30 grams. Went a little bit over there. 32. It doesn't matter if that ever happens. And we want 50 grams of soy sauce. I'm using tamari, but you can use whatever soy sauce you have. I like tamari because it's, I don't know, it's pretty additive-free, gluten-free, like quite authentic soy sauce. And a little bit of brown sugar, which I've made myself in the Thermomix. There's a recipe on Cookie called dark brown sugar, and if you want it to be light, you just halve the amount of molasses that goes in it. So I'm putting in some brown sugar there, and zest from half a lemon. And I just use a veggie peeler to get my zest. Just peel it off. So I've got a whole lemon's worth here, so I'll try and get about half. Doesn't matter too much. We're going to use the rest a little bit later. And the juice from the lemon. Yep. I have that here as well. Okay. Going in. Nice. Okay. It's asking me to, the previous step was just asking me to squeeze the juice from the lemon. Yes, that's fine. Okay, so, and then we're going to mix all that together. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing here. Just 20 seconds. We'll get our bowl ready for our salmon. Now this recipe asks for skinless salmon, so but I found it cheaper to buy the salmon that had the skin on. It was just a matter of ripping that skin off. It rips off quite easily. So I've already done that. So it says to put the salmon into a deep dish. So I've got that here. Got fresh Tasmanian salmon. Oh no. Moved my camera that I'm trying to show. So we've got our marinade in here. Hopefully you can see that. And it just says to pour the marinade over the salmon. Well, you just saw that, but yep, so that goes in. And so we want this to sit in the fridge for about 10 minutes. So I'll go set that aside. Okay, so now we carry on with the recipe. That's in the fridge. So it's asking me to put in a whole heap of shallots and just cut in sort of pieces, a garlic clove, 100 grams of leek, and some fresh ginger, which is optional, but I always add the ginger. I love ginger. So I've got all that here in a bowl. You can see all that here nicely. So that can go in. And 50 grams of olive oil. That's why I got out my big tub instead of using my drizzler, because we need a good amount to saute all this goodness. How yummy is that? And I didn't wash my bowl because it doesn't matter if a little bit of that marinade is in there. If you want to keep the flavors completely separate, then wash your bowl, but I'm totally happy to skip that step. So 4 seconds, speed 4. And then we're going to be sauteing this. So because we want extra steam to escape while it's sauteing, we're going to be putting the simmer basket on instead of the measure cup. And this is going to saute. Oh, actually, I want to show you what it looks like after we've done that chop. So because it was only on speed 4, everything's quite chunky here. Hopefully you can see all that. And that's good for this. We want to have it nice and chunky to saute together. We will be blending this later, obviously, because it's a soup. If you wanted things finer, we would have done a higher speed, not just speed 4. But for this recipe, this is perfect. So, yeah, sauteing for 7 minutes. And in that time, we will get our Varoma ready. Okay, so it only has a few more seconds, but what I've done is I went and got my Varoma, and I actually have some pre-cut Varoma size baking paper things that you can get from the Thermomix website. Otherwise, normal baking paper, you don't even need to make it round. Just whatever you do here is fine. You can also get from the mix shop a metal, like a stainless steel tray that sits within your Varoma tray. You can use that as well. But yeah, that's all been, I mean, it's too steamy really to see, but that's all been sauteing very nicely there. So we are going to add in just some chunks of celery. And the main ingredient are our peas. So the scales have come up automatically when I press the next. So all I have to do is add the peas, which are currently in a big chunk. I'm trying to undo that with my hand. There we go. Straight from the freezer. So we're on about 350 grams. Perfect. And the water. Obviously need some water in soup. This recipe doesn't use stock paste, but if you want that extra flavour of stock, you could add in some stock paste or use bone broth instead of water, whatever you want to do. I'm just following the recipe for today's sake. Yeah, you can vary it however you like. What it will ask for is some salt. So yeah, and I mill my own salt in the Thermomix. It's just another way of making things additive free is processing your own ingredients instead of buying them pre-processed, which have additives. It's also a bit cheaper. I buy the rock salt in bulk. Okay, so now it wants us to set the Varoma in position. So it's talking about the Varoma dish, which I'll just sit here. And then it's asking me to put in our broccoli. You could also change this to be whatever veggies your family like to eat. And when I'm laying it in my Varoma, I'm just going to leave a little bit of a gap in the middle to let the steam circulate. You don't really have to do that, but it's something I always like to do. So hopefully you can see that okay. And then we will we'll season that with some salt. Just whatever. You could add some herbs if you wanted to. And we're going to insert the tray and get our salmon. So hang on 2 secs while I get that. Okay, so I've got the salmon out of the fridge. It's saying to arrange on the tray. It's been marinating very nicely. And I'm using tongs so I don't make a mess. I'll probably still make a mess. Oh, yeah, dripping a little bit. Okay, nice. And what I'm going to do, another little bit there. What I am going to do is just add a little bit more salt, a bit of pepper, and drizzle the marinade over. I may also, I've got some more of this lemon zest that I had earlier. That might be nice on there. Obviously take it off before you eat it, but that would be nice if you have celery leaves or other herbs. That would be nice on the salmon as well. Yeah, my paper's just going a bit skewed. And I'm just going to drizzle that marinade over the top. If you want it to be more subtle, don't do this. Don't add the extra marinade. But I like the flavour of that. It'll be quite nice. And then we're going to put on our lid, which is all the way over here, and steam. So this will all cook at the same time for 20 minutes. We've got our soup cooking with our broccoli in the dish and our salmon up the top in the tray. So 20 minutes, and then all we'll need to do is blend the soup. It has been 20 minutes and now the Varoma is going to be finished. Just when you're opening your Varoma, um, have it faced, can you see what I'm doing? Oh, you can see my camera there. um, Direct the steam away from you so that it's not coming at your face. You know, if I did it this way, it would be coming at me. So I like to flip the lid upside down and then put on here so it's acting as a drip tray so it's not making a mess all over the bench. Hopefully you can see that salmon nicely cooked there. And then what I'm going to do though is, because we're going to blend the soup, so to keep this hot, I just put it on anything, doesn't matter where, and leave the lid on. You could just have it on your bench, but it will be dripping down everywhere. So yeah, a plate would work as well, but I already had that bowl out, remember? So we are adding some cream, and it's to taste. So 50 or 100 or anywhere in between. You could add sour cream if you wanted or whatever, or skip the cream entirely if you want, but I think this is a nice addition with all the greens. This will be a nice green soup. And add in your measure cup. And we're going to blend that for 2 minutes. We turn it to 5 first, and once it's reached 5, then we gradually step it up to 10. So I'll show you what I mean by gradually. So I've turned it to 5 here, and just, this is how slow it needs to be. It doesn't need to be very slow. All they mean is that you don't go whooshing up there. So, yeah. And that is done. And the arms will release. I like to flip my lid upside down so it's not dirtying the bench. So just leaving it like that. But before I do that, I will scrape down some of this that's on the lid because I don't like to waste any little bit of it. So there's our beautiful green soup with all that yummy flavour. So just serve some of the soup. That can be the first course. Now, if everyone wanted to eat soup just while everything else stayed warm, you could have this sitting here and put the Varoma back on there while you eat your soup. But I'm going to just serve it all up. So we've got our broccoli sitting here. Nice. Nothing too fancy about the broccoli. It's just been steaming away. And then we'll get a nice piece of salmon. And then we have our, let's see if this camera will show it better. No, it's too far away. Let me see if I can show you this way. Salmon, broccoli, and soup. Nice. And that's the end of the recipe.